Hello and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be doing a retro tuna casserole recipe with a little bit of a twist to it. The ingredients that you're going to need are tuna fish, and I have 4 5-ounce cans of tuna that was packed in water that I've drained and placed in the bowl. I've got 8 ounces of white button mushrooms that I've diced up. I have a half of a box of the medium-sized shell-shaped pasta noodles. I've got 3.5 cups of milk. I've also got 3 tablespoons of flour. Today I'm using Wonder Flour, but all-purpose works just as well. I've got 3 tablespoons of butter. And for the little bit of a twist, I'm adding Velveeta cheese. Mine is homemade, but store-bought works just as well. I just happen to have some of the homemade on hand. And the second twist is I'm going to be adding some of the French fried onion pieces to the top, along with the traditional potato chips that normally go on top of the tuna casserole. So the first thing we need to do is move over to the stove and get started on making our own homemade cream of mushroom soup. If you're in a bit of a hurry and want to just throw this together really quick, canned cream of mushroom soup works just as well. But if you have that little bit of extra time, try it with the homemade mushroom soup. So let me get you over to the stove and we'll get started. Alright guys, I've got you over at my stove, and the first thing we need to do is add our pasta into our boiling water. And I've already gone ahead and liberally salted my water. And I'm just going to dump those in and set my timer for 11 minutes, which is what the box says these will be cooked to al dente. On my back burner, I have just a tad bit of butter, an extra 1 tablespoon of butter melting that I'm going to go ahead and add my mushroom pieces into. And I'm going to let those start sauteing. I'm just going to stir these around and let them get all coated up in the butter, and give them just a small pinch of salt, not very much because we're going to put the majority of our salt into our soup base. But this will just help start drawing the moisture out of the mushrooms and allowing them to cook down a little bit quicker. So while that's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and add in our 3 tablespoons of flour into the 3 tablespoons of butter that I've melted. And I'm going to start whisking this. And then we're going to let this cook for just a minute or so until the raw flour taste is cooked out. It won't take that long, and I'm always getting stuck in there. I love this whisk, but it's not the best for making soup bases. All my flour gets stuck up inside of it. There we go. Alright, I'm going to let that start working. Let me scrape this down. There we go. Turn my heat back up so this starts to cook. So our flour and butter mixture has been cooking for about a minute, and I believe it is ready to start adding our milk into. And you want to do this slowly while you're whisking, and I'm going to steam you guys up. But you want to keep whisking while you're doing this. It will help remove any of the lumps that will form with the flour, and that's one of the reasons why I really like to use Wonder Flour. You're less likely to end up with lumps with it. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in the rest of my milk, and I'm going to continue to whisk this while all the milk warms up, let me check my mushrooms real quick. Try and do this so I'm not in your way. And the mushrooms have cooked down and sauteed up. You can see that pretty good. So I'm going to turn them off and just let those sit there until we're ready to add them into our milk base. Okay, so while I'm waiting for this to completely warm up, I'd like to remind you of the Gamers and Geeks playlist that Death and I have going on our channels. It is a community-driven playlist made up of cooking videos by you, our friends and YouTube family. If you would like to be a part of that, all you have to do is go out and make a cooking video and then post it to your channel. And once you've done that, let either JPIC or I know in the comment section of our latest cooking videos. Or if you're a part of our Discord servers, let us know over there as well. And we will gladly go over and check out your videos and get them added to the playlist. So this is just about to the point where I want it. Got a little bit of steam rising up off the surface. So I'm going to add in my mushrooms now. We can get rid of the whisk, and there will be a little bit of accumulated juices left over from the mushrooms cooking down. I'm going to add those straight in there too, because that will help us flavor the mushroom or the milk mixture. So let me get all these in here, and now we're just going to stir these around. And the only thing left to do to it at this point is to add some salt and pepper. And add as much salt or pepper as you like, according to your family's taste. We like a lot of pepper, so I tend to add just a little bit more pepper than most people do. And then I'm going to just give it 2 little pinches of salt. And I'm going to let this continue to simmer while I'm waiting for the noodles to finish. We have about 2 more minutes left on the noodles. While I'm waiting for that, I'm going to set my oven to 350 degrees and let it start preheating. I'm going to turn my heat down on my soup and allow it to just sit here and simmer. I'm going to give this a little bit of a taste, make sure that it's got enough salt and pepper in it. It's really good. And I think it's got enough seasoning in it right now. So I'm just going to sit here and turn the heat off and continue to stir this until it stops bubbling. You need to be careful when you're cooking with milk products. They scorch very easily, so you do want to be very attentive to this. You don't want to walk away for too long, because it could scorch to the bottom of your pan and ruin your dish. So our noodles are done. So I'm going to get those drained and get you guys moved back over to my counter so that you can see how this whole casserole comes together. Alright, to assemble our casserole, all I've done so far is drain the water from the pasta, and I'm going to add in the tuna fish and stir that around. And next I'm going to start adding in the cream of mushroom soup that we just made. Start with about half of it, and now I'm going to add in the remainder. There we go. Now we have it all in, and at this point I'm actually going to check it again now that we have everything added together for seasoning, to make sure I still have enough salt and pepper in the casserole. I think it's still seasoned perfectly, so what I'm going to start doing now is getting it layered into my casserole dish. So to do that, what I'm going to do is take half of the mixture and pour it into my casserole dish. And then make sure I have it spread around. Should probably need a little bit more. There we go. Make sure that's spread around. And then now I'm going to put a layer of the Velveeta cheese in. And I'm just going to slice it and lay it on there. And while this is baking in the oven, this is going to start melting down into the casserole. And so when you serve it, you're going to have this like nice cheesy layer pocket that really sets this dish apart from a traditional tuna casserole. I know a lot of people don't like cheese with fish, and some cheeses I do agree with that. They don't go well together, but for this dish the Velveeta works perfectly. And you don't need very thick slices, just enough to give it a nice thin layer. If you'd like to know how to make homemade Velveeta cheese, I will leave a link to the video that I showed how to make it in down in the description below. That video, I did make a Mexican version of it, but it's easily to convert it into just a plain Velveeta cheese, and I do talk about that in the video. So I think we're good there. Let me get my cheese wrapped up so it doesn't dry out. And we're simply going to top this with the remainder of our casserole. Alright, be sure to spread it out evenly all the way across the top. Make sure you cover up the cheese layer there. And the last thing we're going to do is top it with the potato and fried onion crumble mix. Make sure you spread that out evenly. And this is just going to crisp up and give this a nice crunchy texture on top. So I think that looks good. I'm going to pop this over into a 350-degree oven uncovered for 35 minutes. And when it's done, I'll bring you back and we'll get this plated up and give it a taste and see what we think about it. It's been 35 minutes since I put the casserole in the oven. I waited until the cheese was just starting to bubble up to the top. You can just kind of see it right in here on the edges. And the top, it started turning a nice golden brown. I did let it sit out for just about 5-10 minutes after I removed it from the oven, just to let it cool a little bit. And here it is, our retro tuna casserole with a bit of a twist. If you get in, you can kind of see where the cheese has started getting all melty. This turned out so good. The cheese is all nice and melty in it. And it, along with the addition of the French fried onions, really give this a unique taste over the traditional tuna noodle casserole. I'm just serving it alongside of peas and some fresh corn off the cob that my children had requested. This is one of their most requested meals, so I was happy to make it for them this evening. If you guys tried this recipe, let me know how it turned out for you. If you guys like this video, leave me a comment down below. Remember to check out the Gamers and Geeks playlist, as well as my Fallout Cookbook and Elder Scrolls Cookbook playlists. I will leave links down in the description to them. But for now, thank you so very much for joining me today. I've been Vault Girl. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope I see you in the next one.